real honor for me to address the group on behalf of USASBE and to recognize the tremendous partnership we have with the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. I've been a member of USASBE for over 15 years and have served on the board in various positions over 10 years. In my time on the board, I've seen many changes, the ups and downs that many organizations experience, and decisions made to improve the organization. In the past 10 years, I can honestly say the best decision I've witnessed is our move of our headquarters to the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. The reasons I believe this was a great decision are numerous, but above all, the most significant are the people from UW-W who are actively engaged in our organization and have become valued members of the USASBE family. Dean Chris Clements welcomed us with open arms last year and has dedicated her time and resources to making this a spectacular move. Jeff Van Evenhoven serves on the USASBE board as liaison with UW-W and also contributes as a leader in our pedagogy efforts. Bud Gayhart serves as Assistant VP of Finance and helps us to understand the financial policies and procedures of UW-W. Denise Ellen is the most recent addition to our board and serves as Assistant VP of Public Policy and Outreach, an area we see growing in the future. As they say, sometimes the only value you can put on something is priceless. And that is how we view the contributions of our UW-W staff. Another excellent decision we made this past year was hiring our new executive director of USASBE, Patrick Snyder. This event is just one example of the innovative thinking that Patrick brings to the organization. I also want to welcome Bonnie Nolan to our team as our administrative associate. Put this all together, and you can see that we are extremely excited about our new home at UW-W and the people here who are making this the best move ever. I now have the honor of introducing another member of this great entrepreneurial team here at UW-W, a friend of USASBE, Chancellor Richard Telford.
Welcome everyone to the public forum for entrepreneurship, that's a tough one, excellence. The University of Wisconsin-Whitewater is proud to host today's event, and we hope you enjoy your time here on campus. We are also elated to welcome the United States Association for Small Business and Entrepreneurship to our campus. This partnership is important to us, and I'm overjoyed about its potential. The mission of the United States Association for Small Business and Entrepreneurship is to provide the network to advance knowledge and foster business development through entrepreneurship, education, and research. This objective also resonates with the UW-Whitewater College of Business and Economics. This college has the charge of nurturing aspiring business leaders. To accomplish this, we are weaving the practices of innovative education along with collaborative experiences that are challenging and inspiring. As a result, students in this college are invigorated, welcomed, and supported. They are supported by talented, published, and credentialed professors. They enjoy opportunities offered by nationally renowned student organizations, and they enjoy hands-on experiences outside the classroom connecting with mentors, alumni, and business leaders. This college has an entrepreneurial spirit that has challenged our students to reach their full potentials. While we are proud of this process, we are even more upbeat about the results. Our college curriculum has led to outstanding placement rates for our graduates. We are confident our graduates are leaving UW-Whitewater well equipped to face the unique challenges of the 21st century. Governor Scott Walker and the residents of Wisconsin called upon us to help build a better Wisconsin. And we believe we are making significant strides in answering that call. First, we can all agree that a state with more college graduates is better equipped to be successful in our increasingly competitive global world. Here at UW-Whitewater, we are experiencing record-setting retention and graduation rates. More of our students are staying at UW-Whitewater, and more of them are leaving campus with a diploma in hand. Second, we have made a tremendous investment in our students. And while many of them have the talent to chart a path far beyond the borders of Wisconsin, we hope to keep many of our best and brightest close to home. To do so, we need to provide them with competitive opportunities that rival any alternative found beyond the borders of the Badger State. One effort to accomplish this is our growing partnership with the City of Whitewater, with the University Technology Park and the Whitewater Innovation Center. The mission of the Technology Park is to create and foster durable businesses and jobs through a close alignment with the resources of both UW-Whitewater and the City of Whitewater. This park serves as a foundation for diversified and robust regional economy through the attraction of new residents, utilization of UW-Whitewater faculty, staff, and student expertise, and the retention of alumni talent. Further, the available incubation services within the park are helping startups to attain what they thought was unattainable, helping them create new jobs, helping them connect with the university's academic programs, entrepreneurship, and business development programs. We have over 12,000 students and 1,100 employees. We have a wide spectrum of undergraduate programs and a dozen graduate programs, with an inclusive culture and a global student body representing 42 different countries. And with an engaged faculty determined to impact our students, our region, and our world, we fully acknowledge that we have the power to help move Wisconsin forward. We accept this challenge, and we approach this challenge with the same enterprising drive that is the spirit of today's forum. In closing, UW-Whitewater is honored to be your host, and we will draw inspiration from your insights today. Thank you for partnering with UW-Whitewater, and we are excited to see what the future holds. Next, it is my privilege to introduce our next speaker. Governor Scott Walker was raised as a neighbor to UW-Whitewater, growing up in nearby Delavan. He was elected to the State Assembly in 1993 and then Milwaukee County Executive in 2002. In 2011, he became the 45th governor of the great state of Wisconsin. And today, we are thankful to have a son of Walworth County back in our neighborhood. We know he supports entrepreneurship and small business development. Please welcome to UW-Whitewater, Governor Scott Walker.
Thanks. Good morning. Well, good morning, and thank you. I got to thank Chancellor Telfer to begin with, not only for that introduction, but thanks for your leadership here, both at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and your overall leadership. Many of you know, others may not know, that as part of the transition in our system leadership, the Chancellor stepped up and was a part of making that transition smooth, and we appreciate that. I think it's no small testament to his leadership and his vision here at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, what it means for the students and the faculty, but also for this community and for the impact you have on the state. Growing up just down the way, I said as actually we came in, it made me think, going by the high school, of all the times the Whippets kicked our tail in football and running track. And having run this morning, I still feel a little sore from that as well, thinking about all those times out in the track and playing basketball. But it's a wonderful community in a wonderful county, in a wonderful state. And so I'm pleased to be here today. I'm also pleased to join all the folks, the leadership, both the staff, but particularly the board for the United States Association for Small Business and Entrepreneurship. We're so pleased to have you here. We're particularly pleased with this great celebration to be able to acknowledge your headquarters right here and where it really appropriately belongs, because I've been here a number of times before, years past, as you might understand, as a young person over the years, and now as governor, the last couple of years being here for some of the announcements I'm going to talk about in a second. But really, this is a dynamic campus and with a renewed focus on entrepreneurship, and it's appropriate to have this partnership in this headquarters here. So we're so pleased. When I was a kid growing up, and I got to tell you, by the way, I can see this visual up on the screen up here, and my kids who are in college as well, I've got an 18, 19-year-old, this is like watching The Big Bang Theory. Every time this comes up, I keep thinking I'm on the intro of The Big Bang Theory, so I'm just waiting to see what other characters are out there, which, by the way, one of your other speakers, Toppers, we're so pleased that Toppers put a Toppers about 3 blocks actually from our house in Wauwatosa, because when Matt and Alex come home, there's nothing but Topper sticks out all over our dining room table, so that's making me hungry today, another great entrepreneur as well. But thinking back when I was growing up in Delavan, I remember back in the 80s, there were some people at that time that looked at the economy here in the United States and looked at the economy around the world and projected out, a generation or so, about 25 years out, and said that the way things were going back then, there were some economists who predicted that Japan and Germany by now would have overtaken the United States. And if that had continued the way it was back in the 80s, that would have been the case. But what changed? Why is that not the case today? Well, Japan and Germany have great economies, and they're certainly great allies of us, both economically and otherwise. Something happened. Something happened that's uniquely American, I would argue. Innovation and entrepreneurship. I think back when I was a kid, I could only dream of the idea of, for us, a phone was something that was hard locked to the wall. In fact, at my grandmother's house, she still had those old black phones, heavy phones that had the big distinctive ring in it that actually had a build out in the wall. She could tell us the days of when you actually had the party line when you'd call in and somebody would have to switch you so that you weren't talking on the same line. And then years later, when I had my first job, I remember I bought my first car, and how exciting it was. I got one of those bag phones. I didn't know who to call, but I would just call people out of the blue, pull over and say, can you believe it? I got a bag phone with my car, and how exciting that was. And, now I've got, an iPhone here, but I think, watching, what is it, Galaxy that's got one of those that's right on your watch. I mean, for us, when we were kids, that was like the Jetsons. The idea that you could actually call and see someone on your watch is unbelievable. And yet today, I don't have the watch, but I can call my nephew, his wife, and my great grandnephew, who's 4.5 down in Phoenix, Arizona, and I can be in a car and on my way to the next trip I'm going to and do on FaceTime. I can talk to little Jonas there. It's amazing out there. Well, what does that have to do with what we're talking about here today? Well, Apple and companies like Microsoft and others had that entrepreneurial spirit, that sense of innovation, that going back in time, back to when I was a kid, when things were on a trajectory by which Japan and Germany would have overtaken the United States in terms of economic prowess, that changed because of innovation and entrepreneurship. And as much as some look out ahead the next 25 years or less now in some cases, depending what you look at GDP growth, and look at where places like China and others are going, they say, well, that's going to happen again in the future. I'm convinced that the same story to be told 25 years from now, some of it's going to be told by the young people, the students here in this room, I'm going to point to the next gadget, maybe something to maybe live a little bit longer, so I'll be hopefully a little bit more healthy at that point. But whatever that may be and unforeseen will happen because of entrepreneurs who dreamed big, who had that innovation, who had that thought, who were inspired by programs like the one we have here on this campus and others that those of you in the association helped create, not only here in this state, but across the country and ultimately around the world. And so that's why I'm so thrilled to be here today, because that's really where the next great step is. We talk a lot of times about jobs, and there's some great employers in this area. A lot of you in town here know companies like Generac, great employer here and up the way in Waukesha. And in fact, we were talking about New Jersey earlier before. I remember a year and a half, 2 years ago, when you guys had the awful Sandy storm and others, we were sending out, Generac was working overtime with the generators being out there in the whole bit. Huge company, major employer here in the Whitewater area, major employer in the state of Wisconsin. That company started many, many decades ago in the garage in the back of the property of Pat and Bob Kearns. Just an idea a couple people had, an idea that took off and is a major employer here. And so who knows who are the next Kerns sitting in this audience here today. And that's what we're excited about. We're here to celebrate both this partnership with this new headquarters here and also to reinforce the commitment we make as a state, the excitement that we have. Over the last couple of years, we've invested everything from a fairly new idea, Idea Advance, a seed fund that the University of Wisconsin system and the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation have put together, particularly for our campuses outside of the University of Wisconsin in Madison and our capital, where they have $1 billion of academic and research and development. But for all of our other campuses, led largely by this campus, to a certain extent as well, University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, where there's a tremendous ability to take ideas from the classroom, from students and faculty, and take them out of just the lab or the classroom and see them go into the marketplace where they can be useful and productive and really have an economic impact. We're excited about that new seed fund that will help students and faculty going forward invest in that. We're excited about the $25 million more we put this last year in the state budget for venture capital to try and leverage fund-to-fund components to keep more resources and keep more of that talent that comes from our campuses in particular funded here in the state of Wisconsin. To build, certainly it was exciting to see one of our first Capital Catalyst award recipients that we awarded over at the Innovation Center came up to me. He's on phase 2, talked about here earlier, and that's pretty exciting thinking about that and investing. I was explaining as we were just sitting preparing to talk about Capital Catalyst. For us, it's as simple as sometimes it's just giving a few $1,000s when somebody has a new idea just to pay the rent, to get up and going while you've got that great idea, to pay the rent and to start hiring people and put people to work, because we know sometimes that's the most difficult and challenging time. For us to continue to push entrepreneurship and innovation, we need to move barriers out of the way. And sometimes barriers are things like regulation and litigation costs, or even things as simple as taxation costs. But a lot of times it's just simple as access to capital. And sometimes that access to capital isn't a big investment. It's as simple as paying the rent for a little bit to let you get up and going, to start out. And so Capital Catalyst and the Seed Accelerator programs are key parts of that. Certainly even other things like crowdfunding and looking at even the angel investment tax credits to make it somewhat attractive to other businesses to want to invest in new startups and expanding small businesses. All those things are part of, even things as simple as the changes we made in terms of capital gains and having an exclusion there, so that one of the great things, a lot of people don't know this, a lot of you from out of state, if you don't, if you want to invest in a Wisconsin company, we'll give you absolute exclusion on capital gains if you invest in a company for 5 years or more. So if you see amongst some of these young people here in particular invest in their company and you've got your write-off on your capital gains, it's a pretty big incentive. We're looking for all sorts of ways to provide as many tools to remove the barriers and provide as many tools as possible to help entrepreneurs exceed here in the state of Wisconsin. And really for us, I'll just end by saying this before I present to Tony, your president, a proclamation kind of codifying our partnership here. And that is to say that for us, it's not just about Whitewater, it's not just about Wisconsin. What I'm excited about today is what we're celebrating is something I think is uniquely American. You see, there's that certain sense of, and people always ask, what makes this country exceptional? I say it's our entrepreneurship, it's our innovation. And when you think about the people over the many, many, many years that this great country has been in existence, for many of us, sometimes we forget because we're 2 or 3 generations or more removed from our immigrant ancestors. But the people who came to this country from other parts of the world were risk takers. The people left behind were the ones that weren't willing to take the risk. Those that came, like my ancestors from places like Ireland and Germany, or my wife's from Italy or other places like that, or my brother's in-laws who came from Mexico. It doesn't matter where, whether it was many decades ago or just a few years ago. The people who came to this country came here because they were willing to take a risk. And why? That risk more often than not was because they wanted their children to have a better life than they did. And they were willing to take a risk. And so many of the great companies, the great employers here in this state and around the country have come from people who are willing to take that risk. We want to help the risk takers, the people who want to take that risk to start up a new idea, to go out on your own, to make that great adventure. But we want to remove as many barriers so that for those who are willing to take the risk, we're able to give you the support and the pathway by which your innovation, your enthusiasm, your determination can be unfiltered and can go forward and be successful, not just for you, but ultimately for future generations. So it's my pleasure with that. Tony, come on up. We're going to give you, I get to declare things, which gives you a pretty cool plaque. It doesn't get you out of a speeding ticket on the way to the airport, but this, without reading this all, this acknowledges the good work of both the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, the Entrepreneurship Program, as well as the United States Association for Small Business and Entrepreneurship. We're so pleased to have you headquarters here. And for us, this is a day to celebrate right now, but it's also one of those where we want to acknowledge that we're not just here to welcome you. We want to continue to be a great partner with you, the state, the UW, and our many employers and others in this region around the state who are just so pleased to have you here. We're going to keep calling on you because we want to keep growing, and we appreciate it. But in recognition of that, today we made it your day all across the state of Wisconsin.
We do have a little something for you to remember USASBE.
Very nice. Thank you.